And now, Mike's thoughts.
It has come to my attention that many receivers in the NFL want out of their current teams. If you are a pigskin pundit, we've already talked about Brandon Aiyuk. We talked about him. Is he worth it? But another name that has come up, is the one and only Davante Adams. Now, we heard about Davante Adams in Hard Knocks, in the receiver. We heard that him and Aaron Rodgers had a great time hanging out in New York, and it was, quote, much needed. Needed, he said. We also heard that, quote, I'm about to get my ass killed up here in Las Vegas. So, guys, as the rumors start to surface, Davante Adams is reportedly wanting out of Las Vegas. He is reportedly wanting to no longer be a Las Vegas Raider. So, when we ask the question, of course we got to ask the question, are the Las Vegas Raiders better off without Davante Adams? Are the New York Jets better with Davante Adams? If the Las Vegas Raiders, guys, lose Davante Adams, their playoff aspirations, their NFC West championship aspirations, their Super Bowl aspirations, they gone, baby. They gone. Let's just be honest. They gone. But New York Jets, they uppity up to the boom, baby. But just know, in the end, Vegas Raiders fans, y'all better hope Brandon Aiyuk wants to come to Vegas if you guys lose Davante Adams. Y'all better hope you find a somewhat of a decent quarterback if Davante Adams leaves Las Vegas. Y'all better hope that your boy Jair White is somewhat of a decent running back. Y'all fucked. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw, steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off, get it hype. This man, our sport talk. Yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman, everybody bringing heat. You don't really wanna try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? Let's go.
Man Hour Nation, Michael Buckcussion here with the Man Hour. Be sure to go to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page or check out the blog section as well. But most importantly, check out the forum section over there. If you're like me, you troll a lot on the old interwebs out there on Facebook, and you're tired of getting shadow banned and doing all this other stuff. 30-day jail status. I've been a lifer over there for the last 6 months, talking some shit. But over there on the forums, the only moderation is me. And if you get blocked, you have done something bad. So head over to manhourradio.com, click on the forums, check it out. But guys, we are continuing our NFC North talk. We've already talked about the Minnesota Vikings. We had our man Mike Reeves on just the other day. We talked about the Chicago Bears. We had our man Beastie Combs on. But today we got to talk about the best team of the North. Today, we got to talk about arguably a potential Super Bowl champions, and that is the one and only Green Bay Packers. But before we get too carried away, we got to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the man that wears a cheat head proud. That is Mr. Green Bay Greg. What's up, Greg?
How you doing, buddy? Awesome. I'm glad, thanks for the intro. What really impresses me is that not only are you an elite football mind, an elite sports mind, you're also really good at prioritizing. You have all the minor leagues on first
Exactly.
with BC. I mean, BC's too big time now, but he still knows a little bit from what I understand about the Bears. And then you had that child on talking about the Vikings earlier.
Yeah.
So
that child that you're speaking of is Mike Reeves, and he is one of your co-hosts. He's a third wheel on your show,
Yep.
Twist.
Yep.
Tell the people a little bit about Twist and what it is all about, man.
So the funny thing about Twist is it started off with the three of us, me, Matt, and Mike, that just wanted to do a podcast about two avid Minnesota sports fans, and then me, the avid Wisconsin sports fan. And it got out of control. It blew up. And now, that's still a premise of our show, but we're talking about, we'll get into social events and different things of this day and age, but the foundation of our show is always going to be Packers versus Vikings. And now that we're getting into late July, getting into August, now is when the gloves come off. We do our show from Absolute Sports Cards in Savage, Minnesota, it's a great sports card place. You can get all your memorabilia, all that stuff. The owner of coincidentally, the owner of the sports card place, his son plays football with my oldest son in college next year. So there's a nice brotherhood there. But the bottom line is, now that we're getting back into football season, the gloves are off.
The gloves are off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Our next episode is going to be probably the last nice episode we have before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the show, which is football, and more football.
Yeah, and I had to bust out the cheesehead here because it was a couple years ago. My wife and I, we are trying to go to all NFL stadiums, right? And Lambeau was up on the list. Monday Night Football, Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions. Man, I got my cheesehead. I got my cheesehead koozie. I bought the gold and green overalls. Man, I was all Packered out. I was loving life. And guys, if you have a chance to get up to Lambeau, everybody there treats you like family. It is absolutely amazing. There's not a bad seat in the house. It is awesome. And bust out the old cheesehead because
love it.
Because I got to represent potentially the NFC North champions here. And
what I can tell you real quick about Lambeau is I go to, at least living in Minnesota, I'm about 4 hours away, but my family still has access to tickets and season tickets and that. So I go to at least a game a year. I have more fun bringing a friend who's the fan of the opposing team than I do bringing other Packer fans. Those guys will drink beer for free, get food for free. They're treated like celebrities. If you're willing to wear the other team's colors in the Lambeau, they'll treat you like a king because, there's nothing else to do in Green Bay other than the Packers, but it's all about just bringing that camaraderie. I mean, once the game starts, don't get me wrong, they're the first guy that's going to get yelled at in the crowd. But it's a different experience, and I encourage everyone to just do it at least once. I did go to the playoff game against the 49ers when it was about negative 15 degrees outside, and took a buddy of mine. And we ended up walking back to our hotel in this negative 15 degree weather, wearing 15 different layers. That we get to the hotel room and, it's Green Bay. There's one king size bed in the room that we get. And both of us just gave each other that look like, I don't give a shit. We just passed out.
It's awesome. I absolutely had a great time. And there's a house kind of like catty corner from the stadium, like right across the main street there. It's kind of, I want to say it's like a bar or something, but we had a great time over there. I drank for free all night because I was decked out in Packers gear, and my wife was wearing an Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl jersey. It was just a great time. But before we get into 2024 potential NFC champions, Greg here, I don't want to give away my picks yet because we still have the Detroit Lions to go through. We still got the Green Bay Packers, but I can tell you, I feel the Green Bay Packers are going to be very, very good this season. However, this offseason, you guys lost a couple of key pieces. You lost Darnell Savage and John Runyon to free agency. How do you think losing those two guys is going to affect you guys this season?
Thing is I think that the Packers really focus on defensive backs more than anything else in the draft. And I don't think it's because they can't fill those spots, but I think that the way that they like to do it is they like to have just a plethora of D-backs. If you look at their roster, on their 53-man roster every year, there's always going to be, they always lean towards having more D-backs. And that's just the state of the way we're in. So what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping that with you and I were talking off air, with the 12 draft picks the Packers had, I'm hoping they can find one or two guys that can at least plug and play. But the Packers have never been a team that needed to focus on having a shutdown corner, or, we never had the Darrelle Revis. We have a lot of really good players, but they're not really focused on that shutdown corner. So if we can have enough D-backs that can each take up their responsibility, I think the Darnell Savage loss is going to be, it's going to be a loss. Don't get me wrong, but I'm hoping that we can fill it in with some of the draft picks. If Edgerrin Cooper, if he can, lock down that linebacker spot, I think all of a sudden that moves everything else on the defense, moves it in, and they can kind of play a little smarter, and you're not asking guys to do things. The thing about Runyon that impresses me is, and I didn't realize this until I really started looking, is when Bakhtiari didn't play last year, I think everyone, and then last year when I was on your show, I know that I really didn't have the highest hopes for the Packers because you had your anchor left tackle that was going to be out. And it's like, okay, what are we going to be with a new quarterback and, a depleted offensive line? And now we're losing Runyon. The thing is I don't think people give LaFleur enough credit for his blocking schemes on the offensive line. I found out probably 6 months ago that he does all the blocking schemes for the offensive line. He sets it up in parallel with the offensive plays that they're running. So I think that he really deserves a lot of credit, because if you can lose, I don't know, I know I'm a Packer fan, but I would say a top 5 tackle in Bakhtiari. He, a little long in the tooth, so they expected this. But when you can lose a guy like that and not miss a beat, I think that says a lot about the way that you can scheme as a team. And that, that doesn't take anything away from the talent of the guys, but you're a football coach. You're only as good as where your coach places you. You can have the greatest, you can have the best speed, the best 40 time, all this stuff. But if your coach isn't putting you in the spot to go through the hole, you're not going to get through the hole. I don't care how good you are. And the same thing goes for the offensive line. And I really have a lot of high hopes just based on the fact that I really think that LaFleur is going to get the credit he deserves for how he designs these blocking schemes for these guys. So.
Yeah, and just in preparing for this show, I read a lot of articles where many people are very high on your offensive line draft pick here. Name slipped my mind. Let me look it up here. It is the Jordan from Arizona. They think that he can pretty much take just be a cheaper and better Jon Runyan. Obviously, training camp is still to come. Preseason games and learning the offense is still to come. But if that were to happen, Super Bowl for the Green Bay Packers, I think, is really not out of reach. Like, I don't want to toot your horn, because I think the Packers are really, really good. But having a rookie lineman, Jordan Morgan from the University of Arizona, to replace Jon Runyan, how confident are you in a rookie to pick up this Matt LaFleur scheme, since he does put out such a blocking scheme?
To be honest, we don't have a choice. But if you're going to be put in a position, I kind of like what I read. I love the fact that LaFleur. So if you think about it like this, LaFleur is designing all of our blocking schemes. He's also the guy who picked them. So I would have loved it if a guy like J.C. Latham from Alabama would have dropped down to that pick, because he's just a bigger human being. And, personal plug, my dad coached him in high school before he went to IMG Academy. But really my point is that if you're not going to be able to get one of those top 2 or 3 guys in a draft, that offensive tackle, that generational guy, you better hope that you're putting the guy that you do have in the right spots. And the Packers before last year was actually a very solid year, because I think that knowing that Bakhtiari was going to be out, you were able to put guys in positions and let them stay there the entire year. But before that, for Aaron Rodgers' last 3 years, including his 2 MVP years, there was a lot of plug and play. You're putting a lot of guys that, 1 week are playing guard, 1 week is playing center, whatever the case is, because Bakhtiari was, week on, week off. Runyon was moving from left side to right side. So I think that right now we have a stable line. And if these guys can stay healthy, I don't disagree with you. I think NFC Championship game to the Super Bowl is a realistic goal. If that offensive line can stay where they're at, because once you get through those first 4 or 5 games of the year, if you still have that same line, I think we're looking good.
Yeah, and speaking of the Packers from last season, I personally, I don't want to toot my horn, but I was spot on the Packers. I thought they were going to start slow, learn the offense. Receivers had to step up and know their roles, and then toward the end of the year, they were going to get hot, and that's exactly what they did. This year, you have a second year starting Jordan Love. Your wide receiver core is starting to gel and become one. Plus, you added Josh Jacobs on the offensive side of the ball. When you look at your offense, how good are you guys going to be? Do you think they're going to be a top 5, the best offense in the NFL?
I think they're going to be the top. I think they're going to be the best offense in the NFC. I think that, with the news that we heard today that Ayuk is demanding a trade, I think that that's going to really screw up a lot of the chemistry with the 49ers. And let's be honest, asking for CMC to have a completely healthy season is asking a lot of a running back who does what he does. Right. And I think that they're really their only competition. I think that when you look at the Packers offense, Josh Jacobs is going to be a healthy version of everything that they've had in the years past. You had to have that 2-man attack because Dillon isn't an every down back. You don't have that health. So now if Josh Jacobs can stay healthy, I think that you're upgraded at running back. I think that you have 2 tight ends that hopefully, once again, if they're both healthy, you're going to have that 1-2 punch. Musgrave, I think, is just, I think he's an all-pro, just waiting to be, to go off if he can stay healthy. And then you have all of these wide receivers, which the thing I like, and, I rip on the Vikings a lot, but I do have respect for them. The problem I have with the Vikings versus the Packers is you're putting a whole lot of eggs in one basket, and your secondary option at wide receiver is, let's be honest, with the news that's been coming out lately, very immature. With the Packers, you don't have that diva. Your highest profile wide receiver hasn't really even done anything yet. Christian Watson has not been healthy, and I think he's the guy that everyone's counting on. And if he can stay healthy this year, that even if he's not the number 1 option because, he just doesn't have the amount of snaps in him, having him as a second option is unbelievable. The guy runs like a gazelle, and all he needs to do is just get enough time in this offense. And we're bringing out weapons that were on the team last year, but weren't on the team last year. Right. So I'm feeling pretty good about the offense. So I really think that what you were saying is really accurate. It's the Packers started off slow last year, and Jordan Love came into his own. You're not going to see a typical sophomore slump because, he's got a couple of years sitting on the bench. That I think that you're going to see 17 games this year out of him, maybe a couple of duds, but you're going to see a lot of games from him that are like the end of the season last year because he is the type of player that builds off of his own confidence. You can't have 30 plus touchdown passes and less than 15 interceptions. I think he only had 11 interceptions last year and only 1 in like the last 8 games of the year. So you're looking at a guy who's building off of his own confidence that he might start off slow this year, but it will only be for the first week. Then I think that you're looking at an all-pro.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Aaron Jones just ran through the Cowboys defense again, still untouched. Now insert Josh Jacobs here. But
I want to know if he's going to get a purple sombrero to wear in Minnesota like he did every week for Green Bay, wearing the Green Bay sombrero.
I mean, let's not dog too much on the Vikings, but they do like your guys' sloppy seconds. So Aaron Jones is he's a little long in the tooth as well. So I'm kind of glad you guys actually did ship him off. Not because I don't like him and didn't want him to retire as a Packer, but I felt like he was going to kind of demand a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Speaking of demanding a lot of money, Jordan Love is probably going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he eventually signs his contract. Mm-hmm. Do you think A, he deserves it, and B, does he get it?
Well, I think he deserves it because of the position he plays. Unfortunately, we live in the sports universe. We live in a place where quarterbacks are seen differently. And I think because of his age, because of the situation that he's in, he will be the highest paid quarterback. Unfortunately for Packer fans, that does put a huge time limit on our success. Right. Because we have all of these younger players who are now either going to also want to get paid and go to another team, or, we're just going to have to keep drafting these younger guys because we're going to be allowed, Jordan Love is going to be paid more than $50 million a year. I'm completely resigned to that. It's going to happen. He's not going to get Dak Prescott money because he's not going to be an unrestricted free agent. But I think we have to account for that. And the only way to do that is to do what, you and I were talking about off air, is have 12 draft picks a year.
Right.
If you can have 12 draft picks, and let's just say 4 of them turn into solid starters, in a given year, you can then afford to pay your quarterback that kind of money. The problem is that you have to hit on enough of those.
Right.
But I do think he's going to get it. I do think that based on the position, I do think he deserves it. I would have liked him to have one more year under his belt. I was, screaming to all high heaven that they could have gotten more for Aaron Rodgers if they would have traded him after the second MVP. But also from a business standpoint, I know how you really can't do that. It's bad juju to trade, the reigning MVP. But, we got what we did for him. And I think that now we're in a position where we have to pay love, and we're just going to have to, and we're going to have to deal with it and make the best of it. But if we keep drafting like we do, especially at the wide receiver position, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought the wide receiver position here, but just because let's just be honest, you have 3 really, really good receivers, and none of them really kind of separate themselves one from the other. So that honestly might be a blessing in disguise, because therefore Watson, Dobbs, and Reed all might warrant a little bit less money to stay on the team. So you do have room to pay Jordan Love here. But
the thing I like real quick about the wide receivers, the thing I like too is you have Dobbs, Watson, Reed. None of them play the same style.
Right.
Which I think is great when you're an offense and and the defense is trying to scheme against you, because you can't have, a CeeDee Lamb where you're going to put your number 1 shutdown corner on him and then hope for the best from the other team. You have to play zone against the Packers. You really don't have a choice. And that's going to be really great when you're a play action type team and you have a running back like Josh Jacobs who can run the ball up the middle or run it off to the side or go out for that dump pass like they do with CMC a lot. So I really think that what they're doing with this is they're putting the Packers are in a position where you're not going to see a wide receiver with 110 receptions and 1,800 yards. You're going to see 3 guys all hovering around 1,000 and all hovering around that 75, 80 catches in the season. And I think that's what we want.
And it's a really good thing because you can pay them less, because obviously they're paid off of stats, right?
Yeah.
But guys, we are talking with the Green Bay Greg from Twist. Greg, always thank you for your time as always. But right now, I got a gun to your head.
And I'm not even the president.
Your Green Bay Packers are on the clock. How many wins are they getting this season, and how far do you expect them to go in the playoffs if they make the playoffs?
I expect. Okay, so last year when you asked me the exact same question, I was a lot more humble because we were having a new quarterback come in, and I think that BC at the time was a little off put because I wasn't as rampant of a fan as I was.
Yeah.
This year's different. I think that the floor for us is 12-5. I think that we can. I think that if we go 14-3, I think that would be the ceiling. I would be disappointed if we're not in the NFC Championship game, and I would totally. It would not be a shock to me if we could make it to the Super Bowl.
So is a 12-5 record winning the North?
12-5 win the North would be my floor. I think that should be. If we don't do that, if we go 11-6, I'd be disappointed. Even if we win the North. If we go 12-5, I think that should be a lock. I think that the Lions are maybe going to, they're still going to be good. I think that they're going to come down a notch. Maybe don't think highly of the Vikings this year. I think they're a couple years away. And I hate to say this, but being a Packer fan that grew up in Milwaukee, where the Bears were our rival, I'm still waiting for them to have a quarterback. And I don't care who you draft, where you draft him. I got to believe it to see it, or see it to believe it. I'm sorry. But right. I don't believe it yet.
Yeah, so 12 wins, floor, 14 win ceiling. That to me is a great season. Potentially coach of the year for your boy out there. No Matt Eberflus, coach of the year. Combsy, get that crap out of here. Green Bay Greg. Thank you for always, man. But before I let you go, plug your guys' show.
Twist. Go to we're twistsportstalk.com. We're streaming on all the streaming services. We go live on Facebook, but then we'll put it on YouTube. We'll put it on all Spotify, all those other guys. But yeah, we do it once every month outside the season. Once we get into the football season, we do it more often. We're going live Saturday mornings, usually around 8:30, 9 o'clock is when we go on. But come check it out, interact with us, and we'll answer all your questions. Message the show, give us a topic to talk about, and watch three boneheads argue with each other about something stupid, because that's all we do.
All right, guys. So that is my man, Green Bay Greg, from my boys over at Twist there. He is a wealth of knowledge, and I always love talking to Green Bay Greg. Last year, like he said, he was very, very humble about his Green Bay Packers. I was trying to boost him up, trying to say, hey, you guys are going to be good. You're going to start out slow. You're going to be good, like I said. Turned out they're pretty damn good, right? There goes Aaron Jones again. Scored another touchdown on the Cowboys. But, guys, when we look at the Green Bay Packers, while that interview was going on, obviously I have to pre-record a lot of these interviews, and that was pre-recorded as well. I was looking at the Jordan Love's potential contract that he might get in this upcoming season. Obviously, at the end of this season, he is an unrestricted free agent. He's only making around $11 million to $12 million this season, but many people are projecting that he's going to sign a 5-year, $300 million contract extension, which would be average about $51.83 million over 5, or it'd be $60 million, but some people think it's going to be stretched out to 6 years for $51.83 million. So when I got to thinking, obviously Jordan Love, the landscape of the quarterbacks, it pretty much doesn't matter how good you are, how good sports analysts talk about it, how much you fans talk about it. The simple fact of the matter is it doesn't matter what we think. The next quarterback up is always going to be the highest paid quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, right? And then Joe Burrow, and then Herbert, and then Lamar Jackson, and then we saw Hurts, and then we saw Tua, right? Now we just saw, Trevor Lawrence get paid, right? The next quarterback to get paid is always going to be the next highest quarterback to get paid. So obviously it will be more beneficial for the Packers to get it done now instead of at the end of the season, because there's just a lot of factors of like, what if, right? What if he gets hurt? What if he does? There's never ending, right? What if he has the MVP season? He's going to be the next highest paid quarterback. It doesn't matter. Hopefully the Packers do get that done before Dak gets paid, before Patrick Mahomes' new contract. I heard Patrick Mahomes is getting a new contract, added some years, added on. It is what it is. But we got to welcome some people into the chat here. Sirius, like, am I saying that name right? He thinks they think Packers are going to be a 12-win team this season. 12-win team. James Fraser in the chat. What's up, James? Top fan over here. He says 10 to 11 wins for the Green Bay Packers this season. And then John wants to smack some reality on us. Sorry, guys. My allergies are kicking my butt right now. He says the Packers will go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. James says they'll be battering for the Lions for this season. I said for third place? No way. He also thinks Williams doesn't have it in Chicago. Franklin Davis is in the chat. What's up, Franklin? Green Bay Packers to the Super Bowl. Listen. I ain't going to tell you to slow it down, Franklin. I ain't going to tell you to slow it down, baby. I want you to give it some more gas. I want you to give this talk some more gas. Because I think the Green Bay Packers are arguably a top team in the NFC. Especially with all the Brandon Ayuk crap that is happening right now. If the 49ers lose Brandon Ayuk, he's the glue. He's the glue, right? Nobody right now in the NFC can compete with the Green Bay Packers besides the Dallas Cowboys. And we all know how the Dallas Cowboys do in postseason. James thinks Jacobs is going to go crazy this year. No, he's not. Hate to break it to you, James, but Jacobs is not going to go crazy this season. Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers always run a 2 running back system. That's why Aaron Jones was so healthy toward the end of the season. A.J. Dillon took most of the bulk of the carries, and they split carries. Now the Green Bay Packers have a 3 running back monster right there. They still have A.J. Dillon. They have the person that Green Bay Greg brought up. I think he's a rookie, actually. And then, of course, they got Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is not going to go crazy this year. The stats are not going to blow you away by any stretch of the imagination. He's going to be solid. Don't get it twisted there. But he's not going to lead the league in rushing. He's not going to lead the league in touchdowns. He's not going to lead the league in touches. He's going to be a decent quarterback. Quarterback, 100%. He has ran on turf his whole career. Let's see him on grass. I mean, I personally prefer grass myself. I love the Bermuda grass. I love it. My man Jim Powell's in the chat says Jacobs got his bag. He ain't running unless he gets some more Oreos. Not wrong. Not wrong. It's inherent that once you get paid, you nagging injuries pop up. You get a little thick in the skin. Zeke Elliott. But let's go ahead and break down those Green Bay Packers, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about those Green Bay Packers. Week 1, they do open up in Brazil. This is considered a home game, but they are in Brazil taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, where they cannot wear green. So what are they going to wear? Maybe black and white jersey. I don't know. But this game is intriguing to me because the Eagles, we spoke about this last week, really high ceiling but a really low floor. This team could be really good or really bad. And I have them kind of on the bad side of things, and I think the Green Bay Packers come out week 1. Josh Jacobs does get his bag a little bit right. Does Josh Jacobs things in this game. Jordan Love probably starts a little slow. Receiver starts a little slow. But the running game and that great defense that the Packers do have do carry them into this week 1 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. Jim Powell likes the Eagles in this one. Oh, Eagles is the gimme for Green Bay. So he's picking Green Bay Packers. My bad. My bad. Franklin says, nah, he not going to be that great of a running back, but he'll be a top 5 offense. Grass is better. Grass is better. Personally. Week 2, Packers are back at Lambeau Field. Their second home game of the season, first official home game of the season versus Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have a pretty good young roster put together, but the Green Bay Packers have a little bit better roster put together. Week 2 win. Green Bay Packers start the season off 2-0. There's going to be a trend here, guys, the first 6-7 weeks of the season. Green Bay Packers are going to win a lot of games. A lot of games early and a lot of games often. And week 2 is no different. Win over the Colts. They dominate. Week 3. On the road, again, versus the Tennessee Titans. A much improved Tennessee Titans team. We've talked about this several times. It seems like every team that we've broken down the last 3 weeks, the Titans have played. The Titans are going to be a much improved team, a much better team. Will Levis out the helm, adding Calvin Ridley, right? Still got Julio Jones, added Tony Pollard this season, L'Jarius Sneed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jordan Love is looking like an MVP caliber quarterback into week 3. Jordan Love puts off all types of numbers in this game. Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Dobbs, they're all going career numbers in this game. I don't know what it is, but everything that I've seen about this game, read about it, people analyzing it, doing the projection, everybody's favoring the Titans in this game. That's why I'm going the exact opposite. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to show up and they're going to walk all over the Tennessee Titans. Walk all over them. Walk all over them. James says that's a W for the Pack. That was for the Colts game. Levis is a bad man. Is it like a bad man, like he's bad, or is it bad, like he's good? I think Levis is a good quarterback. I think Levis is going to shock some people this season. Just not this game. Just not this game. giving the Packers a 3-0 start, giving us a Week 4 matchup back at home at Lambeau Field, taking on Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. If Sam Darnold is starting this game, it's go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. If Sam Darnold is starting this game. I think ultimately Sam Darnold will be the starter for the Minnesota Vikings all season long. Actually, till week 13, I think it was. Week 12. This one is all Packers. All Packers. Jordan Love, Christian Watts, Romeo Doubs carries over from what they did week 3. Another 5-touchdown game for Jordan Love. Another 5-touchdown game. Start off season 4-0. James thinks Sam Darnold is trash. Trash, he says. Blasphemy. Franklin thinks the Packers are only going to go 10-7 or 11-6 this season. Huh? We'll see. Lou Man is in the chat. Or sorry, Lou Man's in the chat. Like in the chat. What did I just say? Lou Man is in the chat. What's up, Lou? Jim says, good thing Darnold can play golf because he isn't great quarterback. He is not a great quarterback. John is in the chat as well. What's up, y'all? What's up, John? What's up? My record so far at this point going into week 4, 4-0. Wins over the Eagles, win over the Colts, win over the Titans, win over the Vikings. Give me week 5. Give me another dub. Give me another dub. The Green Bay Packers may have started off slow week 1. Week 2, they got it together. Week 3, they dominated. Week 4, they dominated. Guess what? Week 5, it's another domination. We are talking Super Bowl bound Green Bay Packers come week 5. Matthew Stafford and the rest of the Rams don't know what hit him at this point. What? We were supposed to play a football game today? What happened? What happened? Carry on to week 6. Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay Packers. Cardinals, talk about trash. Arizona Cardinals, trash. I talked about how bad the Giants are going to be, 2-win team. I've talked about how bad the Raiders are going to be, 4-win team. Cardinals, probably right there in the middle, about 3 to 4, 5 range right there. They're bad. Green Bay Packers are playing Super Bowl football right now. They are 6-0 right now. They are looking very, very, very good. James says, trashing over Arizona. They are. Up and down the field. Hell, I bet you the Green Bay Packers defense scores more points than the Arizona offense. That's how bad this game is going to be. He feels bad for Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't. That man kind of seems like a diva to me. But it is what it is what it is. Lou Man says the Arizona Cardinals actually got some young talent. I would not underestimate them. Let me clarify this, Lou Man, about the Arizona Cardinals. I do like what they have done in the draft. I do like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he kind of had an ego trip there. Maybe his dad was kind of putting some shit in his head. I don't know. But I do like the young talent that they have. I do not like Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is the ultimate downfall for the Arizona Cardinals. If they were able to find a better quarterback, like I'm not saying Kyler Murray's bad, but he just doesn't seem suited for the Arizona Cardinals. For whatever reason, he just doesn't have the tenacity type of thing to be in Arizona. But I do have the Green Bay Packers starting off 6-0. Franklin thinks the Packers and the Browns are in the Super Bowl this season. Franklin, I wanted you to pump the gas earlier, but slow it down, baby. The Browns? The Browns? Come on, dog. Come on. Week 7. A damn good Houston Texans team coming to Lambeau to take on the Packers. Guys, at this point, the Green Bay Packers are playing really, really good football. They are not leading a lot of the shows, the ESPNs, the defunct Undisputed because Skip Bayless got fired, right? But they should be and will be on our show the talk of the Super Bowl. If they start off the season 6-0 with wins over the Colts, Titans, Vikings, Eagles, Rams, and Cardinals going in this Week 7 game, we are going to be watching this game on Pigskin Pundits. We are going to be watching C.J. Stroud take on Jordan Love. We are going to see Danielle Hunter taking on the Josh Jacobs, right? We are going to watch this game. This is going to be a very, very good game. When we talk about potential Super Bowl matchups, kind of got to put a star next to this one. This one could be a potential Super Bowl matchup. I do think the Packers win this game, moving them to 7-0. I think the Houston Texans will take a couple steps back this season, but they're still going to be a really, really good team. Packers are just a great team at this particular point. They're clicking on all cylinders. Everything's rolling. Everything's looking good. 7-0. This is going to be a close game, 17-14. It's not going to be a blowout. Both teams are going to be playing very good football. It's going to be a great game to watch. Giving the Packers this win, 7-0. James Frank says CJ is the truth. Much respect for him. Yeah, 100%. 100%. He has come out of the gate and he has been looking very, very good. However, thing called sophomore slump. There's a thing called a sophomore slump. His first real off season, right? As a professional. We'll see. John says 7 to what? No way, bruh. No way they're starting to see it off 7-0. Yeah, baby. Lou Man 007 says Texas wins. Packs got to lose at some time. They will lose sometime. And it's coming very, very soon. It's coming very, very soon because they play a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's below average this season. They play a Jacksonville Jaguars team that just signed a massive deal to their franchise quarterback. Air quotes there. They're also playing a Jacksonville Jaguars team in Florida. Hot. Nasty. Still early in the season. The Jaguars come up and snip the Packers in the butt in this game. They snip them in the butt. Give them the first loss of the season. The Packers were kind of overlooking the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Green Bay Packers were overlooking the fact that they still got to show up and play each and every game. The Green Bay Packers were overlooking the fact that they play a division opponent week 9. They were overlooking that week 8 game, giving the first loss of the season because they were looking forward to this week 9 matchup, Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. A game that could arguably be for the division. A game that could arguably be the default first place, the winner gets first place in the NFC. This game has a lot riding on both teams and actually the rest of the NFC. Let's just be honest. Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions going to Lambeau Field to take on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. The best thing that could happen for the Green Bay Packers going into this game is losing that week 8 game. Kind of get my focus back aligned, right? And this is the worst case scenario for the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were celebrating the hell. They already got 2024 NFC North Championship shirts printed up. They already got the design made. Packers win this game. Packers beat the Detroit Lions week 9 in dominating fashion. We see a well-balanced attack. We see running and passing, probably a 50-50 like attack. Aiden Hutchinson gets shut down this game, run right at the man, shut him down. He starts getting mad. He starts getting pissed off. Josh Jacobs probably has 60 yards. A.J. Dillon probably has another 40 yards, right? Each running back has a touchdown. Jordan Love throws for a couple touchdowns. It's going to kind of be a shootout, but the Packers do come out on top. giving the Packers a 9-1 start to start the season. John says, get beat down in their own home by the Lions. Slow it down, baby. John, you're a Lions fan, right? We got my man Luke G coming on again tomorrow. We're going to talk some more about the Lions. James think they'll split with the Lions this season. James, I think you and me might be on the same wavelength here, buddy. I think we might be on the same wavelength. John says, that's because us Lion fans are not used to winning anything now. We have a complete team. John, I feel your pain. As a Chiefs fan, it was always nice getting 9, 10, 13 wins in a season, but not doing shit in the playoffs. It hurts. It hurts. I feel you. But I think the Packers start the season off 9-1, 8-1, giving us a Week 10 bye. Much needed bye at this point, right? Packers are starting to become the talk of the town. The Green Bay Packers are riding sky high. 8-1. 8-1. Talks of Jordan Love being MVP. Matt LaFleur getting talks of Coach of the Year. Green Bay Packers are getting put in that Super Bowl talk. Heads are starting to inflate a little bit. Heads are starting to get a little big to your shoulders. You're starting to bob one way or like or the other. Big ego coming. Week 11. Another division game. Another game that you probably should win. Chicago Bears will be improved. It won't show it on the win-losses, but they'll be a very competitive team. And I think the Bears come up and they win this game. I think the Green Bay Packers come off their bye week, come off this big gloated ego of 8-1, Super Bowl talk, MVP talk, Coach of the Year talk, and they just kind of just shit the bed. They come out flat and they just never really get things rolling in this game. It is just a sloppy game all the way around. It's going to be a close game on the scoreboard, 14-17. Bears probably won't break 20 points. All you Raiders fans know all about that, right? It's tough for you guys to break 20 points. But I do think the Bears come out on top in this particular one. Week 12. Another game that people have starred. Another game that people have like, hey, this could be a preview of the NFC Championship game. 49ers coming to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. I want to put this caveat in there. I want to put this caveat right here. I picked all of my games as the rosters are currently constructed, meaning Brandon Ayuk is on this team as of right now. Okay? Now, when Brandon Ayuk eventually gets traded to the New England Patriots, might have to change a few things for the 49ers. But it doesn't matter in this game because go Pack go, baby. Go Pack go in this game. The Green Bay Packers pull out an upset win over the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers. Green Bay Packers are back on track, baby. Green Bay Packers are back on their winning ways. They're now, 8-2 on this season. Sorry, 9-2 on this season. They're looking good. Looking good. Jay Jillian's in the chat says this man hates the Lions so much. No, I don't. I've always rooted for the Lions. I got an Adrian Hutchinson jersey hanging in the closet right now, bud. Come on, slow it down, baby Jay. Lou Man says the Packers beat the Gold Rush. Facts. Facts right now. John says Packers are not winning more than 9 games this season. Well, guess what? Right now I have them at 9 wins. We are talking about them being a Super Bowl team. We are talking about them playing damn good football. But the schedule starts to get a wee bit tougher. Just not week 13. Week 13, they go out and they dominate the Miami Dolphins. Anytime the Miami Dolphins leave Florida, they're going to lose this season more than likely. More than likely. The Miami Dolphins are not going to go into Lambeau Field I think we're in the month of November right now, right? They're not going to go in there and get cold and win a game. It's just not going to happen. Packers win this game. Give us a Week 14 game. This is Thanksgiving night, I do believe. Thanksgiving game. No, it's not, is it? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Week 14. Green Bay Packers going to Ford Field, taking on the Detroit Lions. I'm trying to go to this game. The last time I went to Ford Field, my Kansas City Chiefs did beat the Detroit Lions. This was the year that Detroit Lions were pretty bad. I think they hadn't won a game yet, but it was a game that TJ Hawkinson hurdled was it Eric Berry? No, it was Honey Badger. He hurdled Honey Badger and broke his back. Green Bay Packers right now. Winners. Pretty good right now. They're pretty good. But I don't see the Detroit Lions losing very many home games this season. John, you said it best. The Lions have been bad for a very, very long time. We're finally starting to win. We finally have a complete game. Hell, didn't ticket prices increase like 200%? The Lions are going to be loud. They're going to be rowdy. And the Green Bay Packers can't handle the crowd noise in this game. They lose Week 14 to the Detroit Lions. James Fang sings, Amon-Ra scores three tutties in this game. Would not shock me. St. Brown's, he seems to step up for those big games and do work. Do work. John says you're talking about them now, right? Who are you talking about? I don't know. Who are you talking about? Week 15. Green Bay Packers. Back on the road. Going out to the West Coast to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are a team that I am very, very confused about. I don't know much about their head coach. Their offense, watching mini camp and training camp, it was very hard for me to really distinguish whether they're going to be improving or bad, right? They now have a defensive-minded head coach versus a Pete Carroll offensive-minded head coach. I don't know how Geno Smith is going to operate in the new system. You guys want a complete toss-up? That is the Seattle Seahawks. I don't care if the Seahawks come and play the best game that they can possibly play versus the Green Bay Packers. I think the Green Bay Packers are way too much for them. I think the Green Bay Packers win this game. But the Green Bay Packers are starting to show some flaws now. The Green Bay Packers are starting to maybe get in their own head. The Green Bay Packers are starting to realize, hey, we are a really, really good team, but at the same time, our front four is not that good. Our offensive line, as blocking schemes were great, as Green Bay Greg talked about, but our rookies getting a little wore out. And it starts to show. Week 16, the Saints. Talk about another true wild card team, the New Orleans Saints. How good or how bad are they going to be? I think they upset the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field week 16. Week 17, much of the same. Minnesota Vikings upset the Green Bay Packers. At this particular point, J.J. McCarthy is in for the Minnesota Vikings, and he has not lost a conference game or lost a divisional game yet. J.J. McCarthy is looking like a pretty good quarterback. Packers have now lost 3 of their last 4. 3 of their last 4 sitting at 11 wins, sitting at 11-5 going into week 18. This is a must-win game for them to really solidify the North, to solidify a potential first seed in the NFC. I think the Packers finally get back on track after losing 3 of the last 4, beating the Chicago Bears, giving them a 12-5 record on the season. I think the Green Bay Packers are a pretty good team this season. I think they are a very complete team this season. Not only are they complete, they are a deep team. They are a complete and they are a deep team. Like Green Bay Greg said, I could see 14 wins out of this team. I could see them sweeping the Chicago Bears and sweeping the Minnesota Vikings, and that would give them 14 wins. And also, the Packers kind of have a favorable schedule. Let's just be honest. I think the Eagles will be down this season. Vikings, I think they'll be down. Cardinals will be down. Jaguars will be down. Bears will just be average. Saints will probably be average-ish. Saints will be average-ish. I like 12 wins. I like 12 wins. John says, no. Slow it down, baby. The North goes to Detroit. Lou Man 007 says, I say 10-7 for the Green Bay Packers. And John says 9-8. 10-7, 9-8. All respectable. Let's not get it twisted. It is tough to have a winning record in the NFL, especially, playing in probably one of the toughest divisions moving forward. I think 12 wins is not out of reach. Now, if we could flip some games here, right? Let's say the Lions do sweep the Packers. Let's say the Packers sweep the Vikings and the Bears. Beat the Jaguars. We could be talking about a different story here. But as of right now, I think they're 12-5. Lumen says you make valid points for the 12-win season, though. Oh, crap. Somebody likes what I say. No, I'm kidding, Lumen. Thank you for that, though. James says, are you talking about the AFC North? We will be talking about the AFC North, but guys, the NFC North is a very talented division, right? Now, I'm not saying this year everybody's going to be winning in that division, right? We've already broken down the Bears. We've already broken down the Vikings, both at 6 wins. So, obviously, everybody in the division isn't going to be winning. I think clearly this year, 2024, the title's got to go to the AFC North still as the toughest division. But toward the end of this year, going into next year and beyond, we're going to be talking about the NFC North, about how deep and how good that division is, right? Talking about how we could get all 4 teams in the division in the playoffs. John says, I just don't see them beating some of the top teams you had them winning. Yeah. The top teams as in like the Lions. Yeah, I could see that. The Houston Texans. The biggest question mark game that I really have is honestly the San Francisco 49ers game. The good thing about them playing that game is they're at Lambeau Field. So that is a positive. That is a positive. My man Ant is in the chat. He says, what I miss? You missed the Green Bay Packers potentially winning the NFC North at 12-5. John thinks losses versus the Lions, Rams, Texans, Eagles, and 49ers. So the good thing about this Eagle game, it is a neutral game site, right? It is that Brazil game that nobody can wear green, and both Eagles and the Packers are green, but we digress from that. If this game was at Philly, I would potentially be picking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. If this game was later in the season, I would be potentially picking the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to be, the loss of Jason Kelce, the loss of DeAndre Swift is really going to hurt them in the end. They're eventually going to be cutting James Bradbury, and I think that depth in the defensive back is going to hurt, or in the defensive backfield is eventually going to hurt them. Since it's a neutral site game for the Eagles, I got to give it to the Packers. Now, if it was at Philly, fly, Eagle, fly. Fly, Eagle, fly. Texans, once again, that game is at Lambeau Field, right? Now, I'm not saying the Texans are a bad team. It's going to be a competitive game, but it's at Lambeau Field. 49ers is at Lambeau Field. The Rams game. I can't remember where that was at last week 5. That game's at LA. I could see that game going one way or the other. But I have more faith in the Packers fan base filling up SoFi Stadium than the Rams. Like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And says, I don't know about them completely winning the North. Lions are still the favorite, but they're definitely going to make the playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, playoffs. I mean, let's look at a potential NFC playoff picture, right? Obviously, you got your 4 division winners. I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's just throw some names out there, right? Let's say the Lions win the North, 49ers win the West, Buccaneers win the South, and let's say the Cowboys win the East, which I think they will. Those are obviously going to be top 7 teams in the NFC. Then you're going to have the Packers. And then beyond that, it's kind of a conjumbled mess, right? You could potentially have the Saints. You could have the Eagles. You could have the Rams. You could have the Seahawks. You could even have the Bears on the outside looking in. I think in the NFC, you have 6, maybe 5 clear front runners, right? 49ers, as currently constructed, if they trade Brandon Ayuk, I think that could be a totally different story. But as of right now, I think you got the Packers, I think you got the Lions, I think you got the Bucks, and then you got the Cowboys. I think those are your clear-cut 5 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Now, Saints battling, right? Falcons could potentially battling. I think they're a little overrated. But Lou Man thinks the Falcons will surprise a lot of people. Eagles, up in the air. Seahawks always seem to be somewhat close. I mean, right there's only 4 teams. So you're 5 plus 4, so you got about 9 teams potentially battling for playoff spots. And I think it only comes down to 4 teams. And it's just tough. It's just tough. Lou Man thinks the Vikings and Seahawks will be there come week 18. If J.J. McCarthy starts for the Vikings, I can agree with that. If Sam Darnold is at the helm, no. No. There's a reason why Sam Darnold is now on his 4th team. Not because he's a great quarterback. Not because he takes discounts to go help bad teams win some games. There's a reason why he's on his 4th team. James says, Baker and the Bucks making the playoffs most definitely. Listen, I like me some Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And this year, he's going to prove that again. W. Ant says the NFC South is the most boring division. And to be honest, I think it's the most exciting division. Granted, the NFC South as a whole is going to be bad, right? But the NFC South is going to come down to week 18. When you have I don't remember the schedule off the top of my head, but if you had the Bucks playing the Falcons and then the Saints playing the Panthers, right? It's going to be exciting because let's say the Panthers beat the Saints and then the Tampa Bay has to beat the Falcons, but then the Falcons beat them. They have a three-way tie. Then it comes down to most defensive points scored or some shit like that. It's the NFC South is going to be exciting because it's going to come down to the very end. It's going to come down to the last snap of the last game, and it wouldn't shock me one bit if we see Tampa Bay and like in the Saints on primetime slot on Sunday night of week 18. It would not surprise me one bit. John thinks the Niners, Cowboys, Bucks, Lions, Packers, Rams, and Eagles all make the NFC playoffs. Rams thinks the dark horse of the NFC is going to be the Rams. Super Bowl bound Rams. I like the Rams. I liked the Rams a lot last season. I think the loss of Aaron Donald is going to come back and hurt them in the end in these close games. And Matthew Stafford kind of worries me a little bit. He worries me because he is talking like he might hold out because he wants some more guaranteed money. He wants a new contract. I don't know. Who do you got in 5, 6, 7 seeds? Oh, should I spoil it? Should I spoil it? Let's look at it. If I'm talking logically here, right now, I'm going to spoil this for you guys. Just because you guys asked, I'm going to spoil some of my picks moving forward. I had the Saints as the first overall seed. I have Buccaneers at the 5th seed. I have Green Bay Packers at number 2. I have the Detroit Lions at number 7. 49ers at 3. Rams at 6. Cowboys sitting at 4th seed. That is what I currently have. I have the Saints at a 13-win team this season. 13 wins for the Saints. I don't know what got into me picking these games versus the Saints or for the Saints, but that's what I currently got. But guys, this has been great. Broke down Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers so far this week. Tomorrow we're going to revisit the Detroit Lions, have my man Luke G on. And of course, Friday, a complete breakdown. We got a complete breakdown of the NFC North, and we're going to answer 4 burning questions. 1 of each team. So if you guys got a burning question, something that you want to know, post it in the comments, slide into the DMs, and we'll get an answer for you on Friday. But until then, this has been live, raw, uncut NFL talk. We'll see you tomorrow, 2:30 East Coast time. We out.